welcome. We're just going to start by grounding into our space. So grounding the sit bones down into the mat, elongating through the spine. Imagine someone's pulling the crown of the head to the top of the room. And here we are, creating space in the spine. So even before we start to move, we want to start to create a bit of space in the body and also space in the mind. So let's just let go of the day so far. Let go of anything you have to do for the rest of the day, the rest of the week. We're here in our practice. And we want to still the mind, so we create a moving meditation using the breath and movement and focusing purely on what we're doing. So start to focus on the breath now. And if thoughts come into your mind, which they will, especially when we're in stillness and we're taking this time for ourselves, just allow these thoughts to float away. We're not judging them, we're not judging ourselves. We're just going to come back to concentrating on the breath, so the natural breath, noticing the rise and fall of the body. Any sounds that you can hear right now, the sound of your breath. Really tuning into where you are, being fully present on your mat. And now we're going to start to deepen the breath into the belly. So placing your hands over your belly, we're going to inhale, press the hands away. And exhale, the hands just draw gently back towards the spine. So inhaling deeply, pressing the hands away. And exhaling deeply, exhaling fully. And trying to slow down the inhalations and the exhalations here. So connecting to the diaphragm, sending the signal to our nervous system that we're calm and safe. And also with these slower, longer, deeper breaths, we're slowing the heart rate and calming down our nervous system. Already our cortisol levels, our stress levels are coming down, which is always a good thing. At some point in the day we need that. So you can remove your hands now, but just keep that deep breath connection. So breathing into the belly, expanding through the belly. And exhale to release. So as we move through the practice, try and keep that deep breath connection. I'll be mentioning our inhales and our exhales as we go, but it's whenever we think of inhale, that's where we want the breath to go. So it's different to our usual breathing, which is generally in the chest and a lot more shallow. It gives us energy as well, so we're going to get more oxygen into the body as well as strengthening the core with the diaphragm. So we're going to start to move the body now, so just dropping your right ear to your right shoulder. So we really want the shoulders to relax now, so just allow the head to hang, stretching the left side of the neck. And then we're going to exhale, roll, chin towards the chest. So letting gravity pull the head down. Really stretching through the back of the neck, and then inhaling back up to the left side, pausing here, stretching on the right side of the neck, Should feel really lovely, especially if your shoulders are nice and dropped. And then exhale, rolling back down, chin towards the chest. So notice how your neck feels today. This is where we start to tune into the body. Inhale, rolling up to the right side. Pausing here. And then exhale, rolling down. Spine is straight, shoulders are relaxed. Chin comes towards the chest, noticing any sensations, and then inhale, rolling up to the left side. Pausing here. That last stretch on the right side of the neck. And then exhale to roll down. Our final time, so release all the tension you can here. And then inhaling up to the right shoulder. Pausing here. And then coming back to center. And then we're going to roll the shoulders. Same thing here, we're just releasing any tension. This flow is for shoulder strength, arm strength and wrist strength. So we really want to make sure we're releasing anything here before we start. And then rolling the shoulders forward. The same thing here, let's try and release as much as we can from the upper back and the shoulder blades. And then coming back to center. So keeping the sit bones grounded, we're going to place the right palm into the ground. We're going to inhale, reach up with the left arm. So we want to reach as far as we can towards the ceiling. So we're creating a real stretch along the left side of the body. And then exhale, bend over to the right and look up to the ceiling so the chest is open. Breathing here. And then we're going to exhale, bring that left palm down, press into the left palm, root down through the right sit bone. Inhale, reach up the right arm as high as you can, create space in the ribs. And then exhale, bend, looking up, opening through the chest so we're not rounding down, we're making sure we're lovely and open here. Breathing here. And then with an exhale, bringing that right arm down. And then we're just going to quickly do a little wrist exercise. So just creating fists here. We're just going to roll the wrists outwards. So the only way to really sort of keep working on our wrist strength is to kind of, it's movement, because there's no muscles, it's all ligaments and tendons. So we've just got to keep moving and the movement strengthens. So circling outwards and then circling the other way. So rolling inwards. So arms are nice and straight at about shoulder height. And then come back to center. And then we're going to do some flexion and extension. So rolling the wrist back as if you're on a motorbike and you're revving the engine. So back for your flexion and then forward for your extension. So in your extension you'll feel a stretch across the front of the hands. Then inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. And exhale forward. And then releasing here, give your hands a little shake. And then we're going to come to our tabletop. So finding our strong foundation here, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. We're going to come through our cat and cow. So inhale, drop the belly, look up, tailbone points up. And then exhaling to round, press away from the yoga mat, rounding the spine as much as you can. Inhale, drop the belly, look up, tailbone points up. And then exhale to round. Inhale, drop the belly, waking up the spine. And then exhaling to round. Inhale, drop the belly. Look up, tailbone points up. And then exhale, coming back to your neutral spine. So a little bit more on the wrists here. We're going to point the fingertips towards the edges of the mat. So keeping the wrists underneath the shoulders. And then just gently sway from side to side. And not too far each way. So we want to be really careful with our wrists because we are working with ligaments and tendons and they can be quite sensitive. So really listen to how this feels. If it's too much, just stop. And then the same with this next move. If this feels too much today, it might feel different on different days. Just come immediately out and back into your tabletop. So we're going to point the fingers towards the knees. So we're here and this creates a really deep stretch along the front of the forearms. So stay here if that's enough. I would stay here. You can rock backwards and forwards, but even for me today that feels fine. So again, just listen to your body. Completely listen. Never go into anything that feels painful. And then bringing the hands forward. You give your wrists a little shake, one and then the other. And just for a little added bit here, this is very strengthening. We're going to lift up onto the fingers, onto the fingertips. So we can start by lifting onto the fingertips. It's easier. And then come down onto the palms of the hands. Lift up. Come down. Lift up. Come down. Lift up. Come down. And then one more time. Lift up. And come down. So that's hand strength as well as wrist strength. So you're strengthening through the fingers there. And then we're going to tuck the toes. Stretch through the backs of the feet before we lift up into our downward facing dog. So with an inhale, we're going to lift up and come to our first downward facing dog. So here, just make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart, so they're not too far out towards the edges of the mat or too far in. Feet are hip width apart. And just here, we're going to do any movements that feel good. So walk your dog, pedal your feet, and just any other movements that might feel good today. So if you want to twist from side to side, if you want to bend your knees, there's anything really, anything that just feels good before we start to move. Shifting backwards and forwards, and then coming to stillness. So in our stillness, we want to try and press the heels towards the mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need. And we're going to press the tailbone up towards the ceiling. So chest comes towards the thighs. So you're dropping through your shoulders. And to strengthen your shoulders, you want to externally rotate your upper arms. So you're spinning your elbow creases to the ceiling. And then we're stable in our down dog. So then with an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands and tiptoe to the front of the mat. So just making your way here and folding down in your Uttanasana forward fold. So we want to have our feet hip width apart again. And we're going to grab opposite elbows with opposite hands and just come into our ragdoll. So again here we want gravity to pull the head down. Opening out through the vertebrae and creating that lovely stretch along the back of the legs. So it's all opening out and just telling the body that we're about to move. And with an exhale, we're going to drop the fingertips down to the mat. With an inhale, we're going to draw a line with our fingertips up the legs as slowly as you can here. We're just stacking the spine one by one until we come up to standing. And your head is the last to arrive. And then we're here in our Tadasana mountain pose. So check that your feet are hip width apart. We're going to tuck the tailbone, roll the shoulders away from the ears, palms are facing forward, chin is tucked, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. Coming to our sun salutation A, we're going to inhale, reach up. So we're going to reach up as high as we can, reaching out of the waist, and then hinging forward with an exhale, so hinging from the hips all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, so we're rolling the shoulders back, spine is nice and straight. So again, wherever your hands need to be on your legs is fine. Anywhere your thighs, your shins, anywhere here, even your knees on this point, because there's no pressure. And then we're going to exhale, plant the palms, step the right foot back, then the left foot into our plank, lowering the hips down slightly to come into one long line. We're going to exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, all the way down to the mat. We're going to roll the shoulders back, chest shines forward into your baby cobra. So pressing down through the tops of the feet and the pelvic bone. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press back through your child's pose. And inhaling up into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands and we're going to walk the hands towards the feet this time. So come into your forward fold at the back of the mat. Then we're going to inhale, reach all the way up, hands to prayer overhead. And exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. So we're going to do a moon salutation next. So facing the side of the mat. So you're at the back, facing towards the long edge of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. We're going to inhale, reach up. Fingertips touch to prayer overhead. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. Step wide on your yoga mat. Toes are pointing out 45-degree angle to the corners. Then we're going to exhale, drop down into our goddess pose. So spine is nice and straight. So imagine you're leaning up against the wall here in your goddess pose. And then we're going to inhale, come back up to a 5-point star. Pivot the left foot to the long edge of the mat, right foot to the short edge. Both legs are straight here. We're going to inhale, reach forward. Exhale, drop down into your Trikonasana. So we're in our triangle pose with straight legs as much as we can. And we want to pull that top shoulder back a little bit. And again, imagining you're up against the wall. Gazes to the top hand. Your hand can be on your shin or fingertips on the floor on the inside of the ankle. And breathe here. And then with an exhale, we're going to look to the front foot, frame the front foot, step the back foot halfway up the mat. So still at a 45-degree angle, but flat onto the ground. We want both legs in as straight as you can. And then facing the top of the mat, we're going to bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, just bring the nose towards the knee in your pyramid pose. So breathing here. Then with an exhale, frame the front foot. We're going to step the back foot to the back of the mat. Exhale, back knee comes down. We're going to inhale, coming up into our low lunge. So pressing gently into the front thigh. So lowering the hips slightly down towards the mat. Breathing here. Breathing here. Then we're going to exhale, frame the front foot. We're going to spin over this front knee to our Skandasana. So we're crouching over this right leg. The left toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then we're here. So fingertips are on the ground. Or if you find a point of focus, you can bring hands to prayer at heart center. If you have your balance today at this point. Breathing here. And then I'm going to exhale, drop the fingertips. We're going to walk to the back of the mat this time. Skandasana over the left leg. So crouching over this left leg. Right toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Straighten the spine. Fingertips are on the ground. Breathe here. And if you find that point of focus, you can bring your hands to prayer at heart center. And then exhale, drop the fingertips. We're going to spin over the left leg. Exhale, back knee comes down. Inhale, high lunge to the back of the mat. Breathing here. Then we're going to exhale, frame the front foot. Pick up the back knee. And we're going to step that back foot halfway up the mat. The foot is at a 45-degree angle to the side of the mat. Hips are square to the short edge of the mat. So when you're facing there, legs are straight. Bring your hands onto your hips. Then we're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold the nose towards the knee. And breathe here. So again, legs are as straight as you can here. And with an exhale, we're going to frame the front foot, step the back foot to the back of the mat, pivot that back foot 90 degrees. So we're coming up to our Trikonasana from here. So come to a stable base if you need to bring the feet closer together. Both legs are straight. We're going to bring the left hand either on the shin or on the inside of the ankle. And with the right arm, we're going to draw a bow and arrow all the way up to the ceiling. So again, pressing back with that right shoulder, gazes to the top hand. So you're leaning up against a wall. Both legs are as straight as you can. Then we're going to inhale. Imagine someone's putting us all the way up to standing. Come into our 5-point star. And then pivot the feet 45 degrees to the corners of the mat, and then exhale, drop down into your goddess pose. So see if you can sit a bit lower this time. Breathing here. And then inhale back up into your 5-point star. Parallel the feet. And then step to the top of the mat. Inhale, reaching up, hands to prayer overhead. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. So that's our moon salutation. And then coming back to the top of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. We're going to inhale, reach the hands all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. all the way down, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, roll the shoulders back, chest shines forward. Exhale, plant the palms and step back into a downward facing dog from here. So find your perfect downward facing dog, chest pressing towards the thighs, tailbone as high as you can get it. Then with an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands. We're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat towards the feet again. And we're going to inhale, rise up. But this time a bit quicker because we're a bit more warmed up this time. So all the way up to standing into your Tadasana. And then we're going to exhale, come all the way down, hands are drawing down the legs towards the feet. And then we're going to walk the hands forward, coming into our plank pose. So dropping the hips a fraction, stay here, breathing here. Then we're going to exhale, walk the hands back towards the feet. And then we're going to slowly come up to standing again through our ragdoll. Coming all the way up into our Tadasana mountain pose. And then we're going to clasp the hands behind the back. So bring the wrists together if you can. If not, they can be apart. But we're trying to open out and create more flexibility in the shoulders here. And then you want to pull the hands down towards the ground. So the chest opens out, shoulders open. Spine is nice and tall. And then bending the knees slightly, we're going to exhale, forward bend. And try and bring the hands overhead. So this is just an intention. Depends on your flexibility, how far the hands go. But we're just stretching that way. Breathing here. And then we're going to exhale, drop the hands again. Walk back into our downward facing dog. So pressing the hips high. We're going to come to a turbo dog now. So we're just going to bend. So find your stable foundation. Make sure you're definitely not any further than shoulder width. Then we're going to exhale, bend both elbows. Inhale back up, pressing up. Exhale, bending both elbows. Inhaling up. Exhale, bending both elbows halfway. Inhaling up. And then with an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, all the way down onto the mat. Pressing down through the tops of the feet. Inhale, roll the shoulders back into your baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tucking the toes. Exhale, press back through your child's pose. And inhaling up into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. Then with an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into a three-legged dog, keeping the hips square to the mat so we're not rolling over onto the left side. Then we're going to exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, dome the upper back, create that space, and step to the front of the mat. We're going to pivot the back foot 90 degrees here. Knee is over the front ankle, and we're going to come up into our warrior two. So making sure that we're strong in our warrior. So pressing into the outer edge of the back foot. Knee is over ankle. We're not knocking the knee inwards. So make sure you can see your big toe. And then someone's pulling you in opposite directions with your arms. Core is engaged. Then we're going to exhale, drop the right shin to the right knee. and reach the left arm alongside the ear, so coming into our side angle pose. So we don't want to put too much weight in this front arm, so make sure you can lift it off and we still have that pose. Breathing here, gazes to the top hand, and then inhaling back to your warrior two. Exhale, frame the front foot and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to raise the left leg into our three-legged dog. Hips are square. And then exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, stepping to the front of the mat. Find your way there, and then we're going to exhale, pivot the back foot 90 degrees, knee is over ankle, coming up into your warrior two. So finding your stable base, making sure the front heel is in line with the back arch of the foot, and find your warrior two on this side. Breathing here. So again, you're in one long straight line. And then with an exhale, we're going to drop the left shin to the left thigh. Inhale, reach the right arm overhead in our side angle pose. Gaze is to the top hand. And again, keep that strength. Make sure you're not pressing all your weight onto the front thigh. And then with an inhale, we're coming back to our warrior two. Exhale, frame the front foot and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank. Exhale, lower knees. And stay here. Untuck the toes. We're going to do some vinyasa push-ups now. So as when we lower down, we want to make sure the elbows are tight in towards the ribs. So that's where we are in our push-up. So we're going to do 5 of those. So inhale to begin. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. 3. Exhale down. Inhaling up. 4. Exhale down. Inhaling up. 5. And then just make your way into a child's pose. So pressing the sit bones towards the heels. Forehead is on the mat. Yogi's choice, you can have your arms stretched out in front, or you can bring the arms alongside the body. That gives the shoulders a bit more of a rest, so this might be a good one for today. And breathe here. So this is the part where this resting pose with child's pose, we can connect back to the breath. So if the breath has gone a bit fast, deepen the breath, slow it back down again. And then you'll also be slowing down the heart rate. Ready to move again, so just connect back to that deep belly breathing. Feeling the belly expanding onto the thighs. And you can feel expansion through the ribs as well, through the back of the body. Slowing everything down here. And just know that you can come to child's pose at any point in any practice. If you just need a break, that's fine. It's your body telling you that, so just listen to your body always. And then we're going to come back. So lifting up now into our downward facing dog. So tucking the toes, tailbone is pointing high. And we're here Remembering to rotate the upper arms, press the chest towards the thighs. It's a constant movement. We're never 100% still in our down dog. We're always shifting, trying to find that better position. So breathing here. Then with an inhale, you're going to raise the right leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose. Step to the front of the mat. This time we're going to keep the back heel lifted. Knee over ankle. Rise up into your high lunge. So press through the heel, so you almost spike through the heel, and that strengthens that back leg. So shoulders away from the ears. And then we're going to exhale, twist to your right. So gaze is to the back hand here. So try and keep the legs straight as they were, as in the back leg, and then the front knee is over front ankle. Breathing here. Then we're going to inhale back through center. Exhale, frame the front foot and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. Then with an inhale, we're going to raise the left leg into a three-legged dog. Hips are square to the mat. Exhale, knee to nose. Step to the front of the mat. Keeping the back heel lifted. Inhale, high lunge. And breathe here. Again, spike through the back heel. Strength in the legs. And then exhale, we're going to bend to the right this time. Gaze is to that back hand. So again, we're trying to create one long line with the body. Breathing here. Then inhale back through center. Exhale, frame the front foot. And step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. So we're going to do a little down dog variation now. So shifting the weight into your left hand. We're going to reach up with the right arm. So it's just alongside the body. So we want to try and keep all the weight evenly distributed in the feet. So we're just strengthening through this left arm. So press away from the yoga mat still, so you've got space in the joints. And then exhale, bring that hand down. Find your down dog if you need to shift. And then moving to the other side, so weight is into the right palm, and then lifting up through the left arm. So pressing away from the yoga mat, create space in the joints in that remaining arm. Breathing here, strengthening, and then exhale, bringing the hand down. Now it might not feel like it, but we're going to ripple forward into a plank, and we're going to exhale, knees, chest, chin, all the way down, elbows into the ribs. Inhale, we're going to lift up into your cobra, so you can come up a bit higher this time. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Going to exhale, press up through a plank. And exhale, into our downward facing dog. And breathe here. Trying to keep the breathing through the nose at all times. But at this point, we're going to inhale and exhale through the mouth, a releasing breath. So inhale through the nose. And sigh it out. Can sometimes feel very good. So then we're going to inhale, raise the right leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, stepping to the top of the mat. Keeping that back heel lifted, inhaling up into your high lunge again. And then with an exhale, bring your hands to prayer at heart center. We're going to come to our warrior three. So we're going to spring off the back foot, balance on this right leg, and float this back leg up so we're in one long line. I'll show you. So springing off the back foot, trying not to put that foot down, but if you do, then that's fine. So we're going to kick to the back of the room, Foot is flexed, and body and leg is in one long line, or as much as we can get it. So find your point of focus here, starting on our balances in our warrior three. Then we're going to inhale, bring the knee in towards the chest. So again, trying to keep that foot lifted. But if not, that's fine. Bring the knee into the chest, give yourself a hug, and lower down. So then coming to our balance on this side, we're coming into our tree pose. So shifting your weight onto the right foot. We're going to lift up the left leg and bring the foot in to the leg. So just going to turn to face. So your foot can be anywhere. It can be on the floor, toes on the floor on your ankle, it can be on your calf, or you can lift the foot into, into the thigh. Yes. So we find a point of focus here, because balance is 70% mental, 30% physical. So we can generally do them, especially with practice, but it's our mind that tells us, oh, you're going to fall, you can't do it, you're not strong enough, you know, all these negative thoughts. So by finding a point of focus and just allowing those thoughts to disappear, you can try and balance for longer each time, but also remembering that each day is different. So one day might be perfect, the next day not so great, and it doesn't matter. It's all a practice. And then if you're feeling stable, you can grow your branches. So growing the hands up overhead, prayer overhead. Bring your thumb and your first finger to touch and grow your branches. You have your mudra. It can be overhead. And breathe here. And then the trick here is to press your foot into your leg and your leg into your foot. So that creates a really lovely stable base. And then hands back to prayer at heart center. And release. Shake out that right leg. It's going, what are you doing? So shaking out the right leg. And then coming back to our Tadasana. And then we're going to bring that left knee back into the chest. Flexing that foot. Hands to prayer at heart center. And then we're going to exhale, kick back through the warrior three. So come back into that pose. Hips are square to the mat. In one long line if you can. And then trusting that your body knows where to go in space, we're going to step to the back of the mat. Woo. Inhale, reach up into your high lunge. Exhale, frame the front foot. And step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. Take a breath here in your down dog. Through the nose. Then we're going to inhale, raise the left leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, stepping to the front of the mat. Keeping that back here lifted, inhaling up, high lunge. Then exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. So coming to our warrior three on the other side. So getting ready to spring off that leg. And come up, whoop, into your warrior three. So kicking back, finding that point of focus, hips are square to the mat. Notice how this side might feel different. Whoop, this side might feel different. And just coming back in if you ever fall out. It's a practice. Then we're going to inhale, bring that knee in towards the body. Bringing it up towards the chest. Give it a hug. And lower down. And then we're coming to our tree pose on the other side. So again, I'm going to turn to face. I'm going to shift the weight into the left foot. And then just bring the right foot into the leg wherever you had it on the other side, trying to keep balance. And again, pressing that foot into the leg, leg into the foot. Spine is nice and tall. Finding your drishti point. And just notice how this side is different as well. And then just calming the mind. Just pure focus. And when you feel stable, we're going to inhale, reach the hands overhead. Whoop. A bit less stable on this side. That's fine. And growing your branches here. So mudra, either side of the head, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Spine is nice and tall. Breathing here. And then exhale, bringing the hands back to prayer at heart center. No rush here. And let that leg down. Giving the legs a lovely shake, especially the left one. They're both feeling it now. And then our feet are hip width apart. And we're going to bring the right knee into the chest. Flexing through the front foot, hands to prayer at heart center, and we're kicking back through our warrior three again. So finding your point of focus, kicking back, breathing here, and then stepping to the back of the mat. Inhale, reach up into your high lunge. Exhale, framing the front foot, step back into your downward facing dog, and breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank, and then we're just going to tap the left knee to the right elbow. So with an exhale, knee to elbow to the back of the mat, and then the other side, right knee, left elbow, exhale, right knee, left elbow, and then back. And then if we're going to come through our chaturanga, we're going to shift the weight forward. Exhale, halfway down. Inhale, rise up into your upward facing dog, just the tops of the feet on the mat. And then exhale, rolling over the toes into your downward facing dog. And breathing here. Dropping the knees. Just sitting on to your heels for a moment. We're going to come to our dolphin pose. So this is the most strengthening pose for shoulders. So, I mean, I'm sure there are lots, but this is one that's really good for strengthening shoulders. It's a practice that if you keep doing this, you're definitely going to have, you're going to build your shoulder strength, and it's definitely worth it, especially for your chaturangas. It's really going to help. So we're going to come to our dolphin pose. So we want to bring the forearms onto the mat. So you want these to be absolutely shoulder width apart. So you can like grasp opposite elbows with opposite hands here, and then that gives you your sort of width, and then just spin the arms out. So we're going to come to dolphin, and we're going to really press down. So hands are pressing down into the mat, forearms are pressing down, and so it's that feeling when you're in the plank where you're pressing, and you're down dog, you're pressing out of the shoulder blades and the shoulder joints. So you're doming the back out of the, so they're micro movements, but they really make a difference in terms of, how you might injure yourself. So we need to really think about that. So we're pressing down with the hands and the forearm and up through the shoulders. And then we're going to tuck the toes. So keeping all that thought in that front of the body. We're going to lift the hips up high and walk the toes just slightly forward in. So this is our first port of call for our dolphin. So this is enough to start with. It's very challenging. So you kind of look in between the thumbs, and again your neck might not even go that far, so just look forward so it stops us feeling like we're going to fall on the head. So looking forward, hips are high, and then really pressing down and pressing away with the shoulders. So breathe here. We're just going to do this today, and if you need to come down onto your knees and have a break, you can really feel it, just do that. And then come back in. So this is the part that's the practice. So we just keep going up and coming down and going up and coming down. And then eventually we're going to lift one leg then the other. And then eventually we're going to lift both legs and we're in our dolphin handstand. Forearm stand. Dolphin forearm stand. But yes. So for now, we're going to just find that point where we're starting to feel strength happening. So the shoulders might be gently shaking, and just keep going, making sure that you're breathing into the belly, signaling to your body that you're fine in a strange position, and just keep going. So keep attempting your dolphin. Just for a couple more breaths. A couple more tries. If you're only going in for a couple of seconds, just keep going. It's just that motion. So we really want to concentrate on pressing, opening and pressing up through the shoulders. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into child's pose. So again here, you can bring the arms alongside the body. And come back to the breath. So with upper body poses, you are working more, there's more strength happening, so you might be sweating a bit more, your heart rate's going to go up a bit more. And just bringing everything, recalibrating. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back up into downward facing dog. Lifting the hips up high. And then we're going to inhale, we're going to look in between the hands, walk to the top of the mat. And then inhale, reaching all the way up, Hasta Tadasana, hands to prayer. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. And then going sideways on the mat again. We're going to bring the legs out wide. So coming to a forward fold now. So just gently pigeon toe the feet inwards. So not a lot, just ever so slightly. So they're not parallel, just toe them ever so slightly in. And then we're going to bring the hands onto the hips. Look up to the ceiling, so we're stretching up through the crown of the head and through the spine. Then we're going to reach up, shoulders away from the ears. And then exhale, fold all the way down. Core is engaged as we come down with control. And then bringing your hands onto the mat, so wherever they are is fine. You might be on fingertips, you might have palms flat. You might want to shuffle your legs a bit wider, so then that can bring you slightly further down. It's all depending on your body, so nothing is right or wrong here. But the intention eventually is to get your hands in line with your feet, and your arms are in that kind of chaturanga arm, so they're not out to the side, but really at a right angle. So when you're here, wherever you are, we're going to inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, just bring the crown of the head so it's pointing towards the ground. And this eventually will be us coming up into our tripod headstand. But today we're just going to forward fold here and enjoy the stretch on the back of the legs and the inner thighs. So inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, fold. Breathing here. And then with an inhale, we're going to bring the hands to fingertips underneath the shoulders. And then here we're going to bring the right palm just flat on the ground or on your fingertips, so wherever is accessible. And then strengthening through the legs, we're going to inhale, reach up with the left arm. So gazes to that top hand. And we want to make sure that we're not putting too much weight into this bottom hand. So you can almost lift it off and you're still here. So it's just to steady us rather than support any weight. So we're lifting up to the ceiling, breathing here. And then exhale, bringing that left palm down, replacing the right palm underneath the face. Then we're going to inhale, reach up with that right hand again. We're reaching up to the ceiling rather than pressing our weight down. Breathing here. And then exhale, bringing that hand down. We're going to inhale, coming to fingertips again underneath the shoulders. Strengthening through the core, bring the hands onto the hips. Then we're going to inhale, come all the way up to standing. And then again, we're going to bring the hands clasped behind the back. So as we did with our feet together, we're going to do this in our wide leg fold now. So pulling the hands towards the ground, so the fists towards the ground, opening out through the shoulders and the chest, look up to the ceiling. And then we're going to strengthen through the core. And then with an exhale, fold forward. And again, the intention is to bring the hands over the head, so wherever that is for you, and your shoulders. Crown of the head is facing towards the ground. And breathe here. And then when you're ready with an exhale, we're going to drop the hands down. Come to our halfway lift, fingertips underneath the shoulders. Hands come onto the waist. Inhale all the way up to standing. And then we're going to step to the top of the mat. And come to our Tadasana mountain pose. So feet are hip width apart. Roll the shoulders back. We're going to inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, hinging from the hips, fold all the way forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. We're going to step back into a plank. We're going to lower all the way down onto our belly here. So you can either lower knees or with chaturanga arms, come all the way down. So just in your own time, untucking the toes. I'm just going to shuffle back a bit. We're coming into our Shalabhasana locust pose. So where we've been strengthening shoulders, arms, core, legs, this is just for the back muscles. This is a lovely one here. So we're going to bring the arms alongside the body, palms are facing down. So again, as with our cobra, want to press the tops of the feet into the mat, pubic bone into the mat. Then we're going to inhale, reach behind with the hands and lift up the chest and breathe here. So arms are flying behind, chest is shining forward and breathe. And exhale, lower down, make a pillow with your hands, rest your forehead on the backs of your hands. And breathe here. And then we're going to do that one again. So bringing the arms behind, pressing down with the tops of the feet. We're going to inhale, reach up. Chest is shining forward, breathing here. And lowering down. Break that pillow. You can just wiggle your hips from side to side if that feels good for you on your back. And then for this last one, we're going to bring the arms behind and we're going to lift the legs as well. So just the pubic bone is going to stay on the mat. So with an inhale, we're going to lift and fly. Breathing here. And exhale, lower down. Again, make that pillow with your hands. Shift your hips from side to side. And then bringing your hands underneath the shoulders. I'm going to tuck the toes and just press back into a child's pose again. So just be gentle on your back here where you've done it's a mini back bend, but might be slightly sensitive. So just see how that feels, and you can rock from side to side if that feels good as well. And then walking the hands up to seated. We're going to come to our seated position, our cow face pose. So we're going to bring the left knee out in front to start with. And then we're going to bring the right leg over the top. Quite dark, so I don't know how much this helps. I'm a shadow basically. I'll face this way. So the knee is pointing, so left knee pointing directly forward. Right knee we're going to bring over the top. We're going to make sure we're rooting down through both sit bones, because the tendency is to rock onto one side. And then the tops of the feet are on the mat. So the soles of the feet are facing up. And then you're here. So wherever your knees are on top of each other, it doesn't really matter. Again, we're all completely different. This is our sort of hip flexibility. So, but the aim is to, again, get them in one long line, but if you can't, that's absolutely fine. They might just be further apart. So find a comfortable position, lengthening through the spine. And then we're going to bring the left arm underneath. The right arm is going to go over the top. We're going to twist the arms around and bring the palms to touch in front of the face. So we've got our cow face pose here with eagle arms. I'm just breathing here, so straightening through the spine, breathing into the belly, and you should feel a stretch on the outer hips and a lovely stretch along the top of the back. And we're just breathing here. And then we're going to inhale, look up to the ceiling, and we're just going to, again, micro movement. We're just going to move the arms upwards so the elbows are lifting ever so slightly, moving the stretch down the back, deepening the stretch, and breathe here. And then exhale, bringing the arms back down, releasing the arms, releasing the legs, and coming to the other side. So right knee is pointing forward this time, bringing the left knee over the top. Tops of the feet on the mat, rooting down through both sit bones. Again, notice how this side is different. It will be. Might not connect as well or better. So find where you're supposed to be here for your body. Straighten through the spine. This time the right arm is coming underneath, left arm over the top. Twist the arms, palms come together. And breathe here. So there should be a bit of discomfort here because we're quite bound, but there should be no pain. So if there's any pain anywhere, knees, hips, anywhere, just come out of the pose. But if not, just breathe into any areas of tension. That's the way to dissipate them. We just breathe into those areas. So if it's the hips, you go. Breathe into those hips and exhale, let it go. And then with an inhale, we're going to raise the elbows slightly, look up to the ceiling. Breathing deeply here. And then exhale, coming back down, releasing the arms, releasing the legs. Bring the legs out long in front of you. Give them a shake. And then we're going to bring the legs out wide. So again, just as wide as you need to for your body. You'll feel a gentle stretch, but it doesn't want to be too deep. And then just pointing the toes towards the ceiling, flexing the feet. We're going to inhale, reach up out of the waist as high as we can, and then exhale, folding forward. So your spine will be rounded here. That's fine. We're going to inhale, lengthen, and exhale, drop the head. So just find what feels good for your body here. And with each exhale, you might just drop gently lower. And then we're going to inhale, come onto the fingertips, walk back in towards the body. We're going to do a side bend now. So we want the forearm to come down onto the mat, just inside the knee. If that doesn't happen, you can use a book or a block or a cushion or something to just raise that forearm. But whatever, so find, if you need to grab something, you can find something here. But the forearm is flat onto a surface. And then we're going to roll the left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Inhale, reach up with the left arm. And again, as our side bends at the beginning, we want the chest open towards the ceiling rather than rounding down towards the floor. And then we're going to exhale, try and grab the toes over the top of the head. So it doesn't matter how close you get here at all, or even if you're reaching anywhere near your toes. It's just that wiggle your toes a bit and then just almost try and find them with your hand. But with each inhale, we want to stretch. So stretching through the side body, and then exhale, we can just sink gently lower. And then we're going to inhale, come back up to seated. We're going to come to the other side. So placing the forearm down on the ground or on your support. Roll that right shoulder back. Inhale, reach up with the right arm, flexing through both toes. And then exhale, try and find your toes over your head, give them a wiggle. The main thing is that we're stretching through the side body, so it really doesn't matter if you reach your toes at all. But one day, you never know. Breathing here. And with an inhale, we're going to come back up to seated. Bring the legs together. We're going to come onto the back now. So just laying down here. Knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to come to a reclined pigeon now. So we're going to bring the left shin over the right thigh. And then just gently press that left knee out towards the side. And then we're going to reach our arms through this gap and grab the back of the right thigh. Flex through both feet. Bring your shoulders back down onto the mat. And then just pull gently the thigh towards the body. And just press gently away with that left knee. Breathing here. And then with an exhale, bring both feet down. We're going to swap sides. So bring the right shin over the left thigh. We're going to reach through, grab the left shin So both feet are flexed, pressing away gently with that right knee, pressing it out to the side, and then gently pulling the thigh towards the body. Breathing here. And then bring both feet down. I'm going to bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug here. And rock from side to side if that feels good. And flexing the feet now. We're going to come into our happy baby. So bringing the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. And we're going to grab onto either the outer edges of the feet or the outside of the shin. So you want the lower back to be mostly on the mat. So if that means you need to grab a bit lower, that's absolutely fine. There's no need to grab the outer edges of the feet, but just see where feels good. And also again, it might be different depending how your back feels. And you can rock from side to side, which also feels very lovely. And then the intention again here is to just gently pull your knees towards your armpits. So you feel a stretch on the inner thighs, opening through the hip flexors. So just find what feels good in your happy baby. We're all going to look different. And then releasing, bring the knees back into the chest. Give yourself another hug here. And then dropping the arms to a cactus shape either side of the head. We're going to exhale, drop the knees over to the right side. Gaze comes to the left hand. Then inhale, knees through center. Exhale, dropping to the left. Gaze comes to the right hand. Breathing deeply here. Then inhale, knees through center. One last hug here. And then we're going to come to our Shavasana. So allowing the legs to drop out long. Arms to drop out to the side. Finding your comfortable pose. Just shifting if you need to. And then finding stillness. So letting go of any deep breathing now. Come back to your natural breath. Notice if you're holding any areas of tension, especially in your shoulders, your hips, and also your face. We tend to tense up our face, our forehead, our jaw, and really consciously relax your face now. Notice how different that feels. And just allow your body to rest and repair and take in the benefits of the movement. And try and keep thoughts out of your mind as you're in your Shavasana. Your to-do list might try and creep back in, but just allow them to float away. And just come back to the breath. start to bring some awareness back into your body now. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring your arms overhead and give yourself a full body stretch. And then bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself one last hug here. And then rolling over onto one side in the fetal position. Just resting here with a couple of breaths. And then keeping your eyes closed if you can. Pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat. Coming back to that nice tall spine. And bringing your hands to prayer at heart center. Thank yourself for taking this time to connect with your breath, move your body and still your mind. Knowing that any effort goes a long way, even if you're just getting on the mat, and even if you give up halfway through or half of it is in child pose, doesn't matter, because no energy is ever wasted. So everything is beneficial. And just keep coming back to the practice. It gets easier every time. And then bring your thumbs to your third eye for wisdom. We bow and say Namaste. Thank you.